Well, we're here at Meadowlands today. It's on what you class as a difficult day, to be honest. The carp have tried to spawn 2 or 3 times already, and today when we turned up it looks like they're going properly, so it's a damage limitation day. We've come here to try and catch a few fish and work a few things out for an up and coming match, and it's probably going to be a bit of a write-off today for learning what's happening, but just a case of exploring your peg, trying to understand what's going on, and understand basically in the up and coming event what you think is going to win the match if the conditions are like this. We could be confronted with conditions like this come match day, so every day is a practice day, and today hopefully I can show you a few tips to help you get through your practice sessions on up and coming matches. I always try and presume that the fish, the carp, are going to feed at some point in the day, so I've got to prep my swim to have lines ready for it if they turn up. So I'm here on peg 43 on lambs. It's normally a good peg, is this? It's you know, a good area for carp, certainly a good area in summer for pellet waggler bomb method styles, you know, trying to find the fish. And on your feed lines, I call it, it's where you can feed with a catapult, where you can feed out 8 mils with catapult. That's normally the best line on places like this, big open water venues, and that's normally where the fish are. And what you've got to do is you've got to expect to catch the fish on those lines. I know you get days where it's different, but it's important to start fishing as if you're going to catch those fish in the right place. And here in places like Larford and Barston, Hayfield, lots and lots of big open water places, this is the kind of line you want to be feeding. So I set off nice big 28 gram IB feeder with Fishery micros on. Just load it quite big, you know, put some bait on, cast it frequently, and just trying to get a bit of bait in. A lot of people see you catching skimmers and they consider them nuisance fish. They can be nuisance fish when you're looking to catch 150 or 200 pounds, but on days like this where you know, weights are a lot lower, when you're fishing for 90 pound or 80 pound or even 120 pounds, if you can catch 25-30 pound of skimmers at the start or during the period of the match where the carp aren't feeding, then you catch the carp, then you're in front, because all those people who've ignored the skimmers have got to catch twice as many carp as you, which is, you know, it's a really good mentality in my book to how I approach matches, especially on things like leagues where it's points. You know, where we're practicing, this one's for the British Rod Champs, and that's on the points. You know, I've actually won my section on the first round, so I've got something to try and live up to. I've got to try and get another section win and move on, and it's about staying in the game. If 30 or 40 pound of skimmers in the first 2.5 hours keeps me in the game, I will do that. So I'm just going to plough through them, see what happens, and expect, and I think you've got to expect at some point that the fish will have a feed. We know that there's not many fish here, because when there's lots of fish in this area, the fish are topping, they're moving about, you can see them getting big liners and all sorts, but that's not happening at the moment. We're getting a lot of skimmer bites and catching quite a lot of skimmers, so there's no if the carp are there, they're not feeding, they might be just sat mid-water, but believe me, today we know those carp are in other places for the moment, but at some point they'll stop spawning, they'll come for a feed for an hour or 2 hours in the match, and that's when you've got to be ready, and I'll be ready. Right, let's get this back out, start targeting whatever's there, hopefully a few better bream, and eventually an odd carp that comes over the feed. That's what it's all about, catching what's there. I keep going in, catching a skimmer, going in, catching another skimmer, feeding it constantly, feeding quite a lot of 8 mils on that line. There's plenty of ducks about, so I'm having to feed at least 1 pouch full for the ducks and one for the fish, but this feels like it's a carp, which is good news, probably after an hour's fishing, so it's probably a little bit sooner than I expected to catch one. But it's promising. You know, these fish really weren't feeding at the start. You can see from round the lake, nobody's really catching many carp at all. There's pleasure anglers, but there's an odd, every now and again, there's an odd fish comes up. So there's some either not spawning, or they've spawned early and they've moved back into the main lake to have a feed. They use a lot of energy up when they spawn, and they need to replenish that energy so that they have to feed. So they don't hang about for long when they know there's food there. By constantly feeding 8 mils, you're letting them know that there's actually some bait there. This is actually a good fish as well, this one. Sort of fish you expect to catch here at Meadowlands. Some beautiful fish in this lake, well, in both lakes. It's solid with carp. And a great place to come pleasuring, and a great place to fish matches. I spend a lot of my time here in winter, but not a lot of my time here in summer, but I keep threatening to come and fish some of these matches because some huge weights here, and you can see why. With fish that stamp, that's a great sign, is that I didn't actually expect to catch a carp this early, so that's a really good start. Really good start to the session. An hour in, that's good news, is that?
Yeah, a bit good, yeah.
Oh. Which means there should be an odd one looking round the feed. So that's a good fish, look at that. Great fish.
Oh.
What I would also contemplate doing, if there's the fish are coming to the pellets, is to put just put a bomb rig on this as well, because you don't necessarily have to keep putting the micros in, because if the carp start coming in, the micros could be a bit obstructive, because the skimmers love the micros and they can certainly mop them up quickly. But if you're getting bites from skimmers when there's carp in your peg, and you can get away with feeding 8 mils with a catapult, then you really want to be fishing with a bomb and pellet to make the most of it, or even, you know, a bomb and 2 pellets, which is a really good method on here. What I tend to do, just feed once, because the ducks tend to avoid me first of all. When the ducks are on it, the ducks are a really good marker, which is nice. And then, at least then, when I've catapulted in before I cast, I know that I'm right on some feed, right on top of it, which is giving me that, you know, that belief that I'm fishing in the right spot. But that's a great start, you know, nice fish, good fish, and let's hope it starts to go around a few more times now. Right, let me just show you what tackle I've been using. I mean, it's very straightforward stuff, I've got to say. My go-to rod really for most commercial fishing, short chucks up to like 45 metres. I love the Essential Legend method feed, but we do it in a 10 and 11 foot, but I absolutely adore the 11 foot. It's just so versatile for me, and I can use it for everything, so I tend to set more of those up than anything else. Nice underarming, great playing big fish, you just got that little bit extra power, a bit more leverage, great for casting. So very straightforward. I use 023 in the Pro sinking line, fantastic stuff this, I've fallen in love with it, it's just so good. It casts so well, it sinks so well, just everything about it is good. Straightforward setup. I've got a 28 gram hybrid, you might think that's quite big, that's a large one, but in summer, I start on this all the time. I think it's really important to get bait in, make sure the fish that knows some feed there to come back to. Put a little tiny feeder on sometimes, you're not giving them enough. And often when there's silvers feeding, there's skimmers, there's roach feeding, you want a little bit more down there than just a tiny little mouthful. And this is, I like to, you know, double load these to start with, even underarming and casting out. It's really important. I don't veer away in carp fishing on these big venues ever from other than anything the 020 Garbolino Super Soft. Tie them to QM1 hook. I've got a 12 on today, and most of the time that's what I'll put on. If I'm looking for 5 or 6 really big fish, if it's allowed on the fishery, I'll fish a 10, but you can see that I've still got my wafter on there. That's a mainline 6mm wafter. Lovely little wafters, fish love them. Tend to go for pink most places. Very, very straightforward setup and extremely versatile. I can use this on, I can actually use it on pretty much every line where I'm fishing today. I mean, the furthest I go is like 55 minutes. I can cast that there, no problem. So if there's a wind, then I might want to chuck it for something further, something bigger. I'll go to like a 12-foot distance, but it'll do most things on places like this for me. My other rod that's set up is my Pellet waggler rod. This is the essential Pellet waggler. This is the 10'6", 11'6". It's a fantastic rod, this, because it just works so well. You've got this extending piece here that just goes in and out as you need. Tend to use it on the big venues where you're fishing bigger wagglers. Fish it in the 11'6" length. So much better that way, and so versatile. Catch anything with it. Straightforward. I've actually got floating line on there, because I prefer to have a floating line on a Pellet waggler. So just fish a 5-pound floating line, fairly straightforward. Fish it straight through to a hook length. The hook length, like I said, try and keep it simple on venues where carp are concerned. Using a small, strong hook, and this is an MWG. This is tied to 020 Garbolino Super Soft, and a crystal Pellet waggler. Started off on a 4 gram, which was okay, but it was a little bit windy, so I switched to a 6 gram, and that seemed to work a little bit better. I could cast it a little bit easier. And one of the things I noticed when I started actually casting and then feeding rather than feeding and casting was that I could get my bait in right and on top of a settled hook bait, and I was almost catching them on the hang rather than catching them falling through, and just firing pellets at the hang so that they found the bait, and that seemed to be a lot better for me. So anyway, this wind's dropped as it always does towards the end of the session, so I'm going to turn around on my box and see if I can catch you another carp. Well, I've been feeding nice and steady for the last 25 minutes, half an hour since that last fish. Had a few skimmers on that method, but the wind's just dropped that little bit, and I just fancied a go on my waggler, and I've had about 6 or 7 chucks. I was almost thinking I wasn't going to get a bite, and then it's gone under. Lovely. Fishing a little bit deeper than you'd normally fish a lot of places, only about 3 foot, but just giving them a bit of chance to find the bait, you know. And with the bait, the wind's been blowing like mad all over, but I'm still been feeding 8mm and still been putting them in. But you can't, when the wind's like that, you can't be as accurate as you want to be. So taking off again. You can't, you can't be as accurate as you want to be, really. So when the wind drops, not only can you present it better, you can actually get your pellets round your float and be really accurate for a few minutes. And sometimes sometimes you only need that window, even if it's only every sort of 20 minutes or half an hour. When the wind drops, immediately you think, oh, that I could chuck a waggler there and it'd sit nicely. Just do it. Instantly do it. Don't think, oh, I shouldn't I. Reel in and do it, because that's when you get that one chance. And if you get 10 chances in a 5-hour match like that, and every time you do it you catch an 8-pound carp, you've got 80 pound. It's as simple as that. And you've probably not fished Pellet waggler much at all day. Yeah, that's contributed a massive amount. And the other thing is if you spend all day thrashing a waggler, sometimes the fish just back off it, and it really benefits to leave it alone, because that first few minutes, that first few chucks, that's when you often get that, sometimes that one and only bite that you're going to get, but it's worth getting. I mean, this feels like a decent fish, this does. Feels like a nice fish, not seen it yet, but it's pulling hard. And we'll see him in a minute. Yeah, it's a lovely fish. Oh yeah, there we go. So that's my, I've had a couple of little carp, but that's my second real carp of the day. Oh, and I'm starting to put a few bites together now. But one of the dangers, real dangers with this kind of fishing is you can now spend the rest of your day trying to catch them on the pellet waggler. And sometimes that's not the way to do it. Often the way to do it is, which is what I'll do now, I'll have a couple more chucks, maybe 5 minutes, see if I can find another fish. But if I don't, I want to rest this line, because I believe that these fish will come back if I leave them alone. If I keep chucking a waggler over it all the time, they might not come. You know, the clever fish, you know what's going on. So let's have a few more chucks and see what happens. Well, this has been a tough day, but I don't mind tough days like this, because you've got to work really, really hard for it. I've had a couple on the hybrid on my long pinging line. I've kept feeding exactly as I would, you know, like for a pellet waggler. Every now and again put, you know, 2 or 3 in, because there's ducks around and you don't know exactly what's going down, but just keep pinging it, keep pinging it. I haven't got on a pellet waggler, don't catch anything, and wind's wrong, the wind stops, and I just had a go on it again, missed a bite. I thought, oh, I missed my chance. And what I've been doing is, because the wind's so bad, hey, that's good fish, is that? So the wind is so bad, I've been casting and feeding and drawing in, and I'm catching them when it's hanging. If I can get another feed over the top of that, start to get an odd bite. And it's been really interesting fishing. I mean, that's a cracking fish, is that? Really nice fish. And you don't, like I say, you don't need many of those on a day like today. I think it's actually been a good day for me catching fish like that. So just mix it up between pellet wagglers, probably slightly deeper than you would normally fish, and underneath it with a hybrid feeder. I've fed down my short line, but it's a little bit early at the moment. You know, the match for fishing is going to fish later, but I'd keep feeding that short line there, because I think that's where the fish will come in. Then I might fish a margin line. So my day's been quite good. I've learned a lot. I've not been here for a while. I've learned a lot. And my next match here, I'll have a bit of a plan. It always helps, wherever you're going, to get a sneaky look at the venue, because you'll get so much more information. And if it's a tough day like it's been, don't give in, just don't say it's fishing rubbish. Find ways to catch fish. Fill your 5 hours in by catching those skimmers, catching whatever you can catch. And then eventually, they catch a carp here and they give you a sign. Can I catch carp on a waggler over the top of it? Am I going to catch anything short? Build that plan in your mind and stick to it. Hopefully, do things like that, you'll improve your results time and time again. You'll find yourself catching that 90 pound instead of the 70 pound, and that's hopefully the section win rather than 3rd or 4th. So don't forget, practicing is king, and have a great day today. If you like what we do, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support. See you again.